to this demonstration. Are folks mad at Trump because he's a hood president? A complete breakdown of Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime performance. But before we get started, let me read my copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. What that means is that everything that you hear in this demonstration is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Now, this is a two-part demonstration, but it all really goes together. Trump being a hood president and the Super Bowl performance. Trump was at that very own Super Bowl. Salute to my replay. Salute to the replay gang. Salute to my moderators. Salute to the chat. Salute to you, him, and her. I see you, Miss Parker. I see you, Positive Vibes. And I see you, Top Flight. Three of my most dangerous troublemakers. I see y'all down there in the chat. I see y'all. Now, Kendrick's Super Bowl performance, all right? He dropped a lot of jewels. There were a lot of jewels. From Samuel Jackson, dressed up as Uncle Sam, to Serena doing the Crip Walk. There were so many jewels that Kendrick dropped. But I want you all to focus on his song. Now, his song, They Not Like Us, that was the #1 song in the world. Salute, Sages. I see you, Sages. Appreciate you, Sages. Now, for a long time, many didn't even understand. They thought that the song was really a diss record towards Drake. They didn't really catch what Kendrick was saying in that song. Listen to the hook. Listen to the chorus. They not like us. And that's what I want to talk about, because a lot of people don't like it when melanated people get on these platforms and use these platforms to fight for our rights and fight for justice for us. A lot of people, they don't like that. They get upset with that. They feel like it's football, it's the Super Bowl. Why is these melanated people, why are they pushing their narratives? We didn't come to hear melanated people complain. We didn't come to hear melanated people talk about their rights and them receiving justice. And this is why he names the song, They Not Like Us. Y'all are not like us. If you're not melanated, you're not going to get it. There are some that do get it. But most of those that are not melanated, y'all just don't get it. We don't have these platforms to begin with. We don't own. Let me put it in its proper perspective. When I say we don't have these platforms, we don't own these big platforms with millions and millions and millions of people watching. So when we get an opportunity to get on these platforms that have these millions and millions and millions of watchers, it's up to us to push and spread awareness to what we are going through. For those that don't know what a sellout is, this is where the terminology sellout came from. Because when a melanated person would quote unquote make it, become successful, they would forget the struggles that they came from, and they will forget the other melanated people that got left behind. So a sellout is when you make it to those platforms and you do nothing to spread awareness of what melanated people are going through. I hope I put that in its proper perspective. All right. That's where I want to begin with first. So now, if you're a non-melanated person, and even if you are a melanated person, now you can understand. You can understand Kendrick's song, They Not Like Us, and then you can understand why when we get these opportunities, why we take the opportunities to push in the same way any other nationality, when they get on platforms, they're going to stand up for what is right and they're going to push awareness for their cause, for their people. I get this all the time. Shank Rock, can we just stop talking about black and white? Well, it's only that when it's time for black people to stand up for what is right. As long as it's not a cause when black people is standing up for what's right, if I'm talking about black on black crime, if I'm talking about anything negative surrounding melanated people, you all don't have a problem with me talking about race issues. It's only when I talk about reparations for melanated people, oh, Shank Rock, man, I'm getting tired of you talking about this race issue. It's only when I talk about police brutality towards melanated people. Shank, can we just get off of this? It's only when I'm standing up and I'm raising awareness for melanated people. Now, this is one of those demonstrations where, oh yeah, I'm going to talk about melanated people. I'm going to talk about Caucasians. I'm going to talk about Asians. I'm going to talk about Latinos. If this isn't a conversation for you, please, please do us all a favor and exit. All right? Because I don't want to get on one and I don't want to use my terminology of funky, you know. So if this not for you, just exit. But I want to go to Stephen A. Smith. Now, a lot of people call Stephen A. Smith a sellout, allegedly. And one of the reasons why they call him a sellout is because he has the platform that I just spoke on. He's on a platform with millions and millions of viewers. Do he spread awareness when it comes to melanated people? But he says something interesting about the Super Bowl halftime performance by Kendrick Lamar. And if you don't feel like Donald Trump is hood, then I need for you to reevaluate. The last time I checked, he has 34 felonies. He has 3 baby mothers, right? How many children do he have? 5 by 3 different women. When melanated people have 34 felonies, when melanated people have 5 kids by 3 different women, he's considered to be ghetto. I called Donald Trump hood, and I'll call him hood again. But let's get into Stephen A. Smith, y'all.
Kendrick Lamar performed at halftime, bringing out some special guests. We even saw...
As you see Serena crip walking. What was that about? What was that about? I heard someone from another nationality say that they originated the crip walk. However, Serena made it funkier.
Serena Williams, he played the controversial hit Not Like Us. Stephen A., what grade do you give Kendrick in that performance?
I gave him an A. I gave him an A for one reason and one reason only, because he played that record. That's why I gave him an A. And I said, now before I go any further, fellas, I was on Good Morning America Friday morning. They were interviewing me before obviously I was on Good Morning America. Here's what I have to say. Y'all got to see this because I said it before it happened. Listen to this. not like us, took him to another level. You have to at least play that beat. The crowd, that's not just on national television, but in attendance, has to hear that music from the song playing.
But
it has to happen.
You're not
It has
expecting
to happen.
Drake on the stage?
Like that.
I'm not expecting Drake in the country. I don't think he'll even be in the United States.
I like what he said when he mentioned they had to play that song. This is why Kendrick Lamar performing at the Super Bowl was so important. All right, now let's just break down, let's chop up just a little bit of his performance. All right, now, what was Samuel L. Jackson dressed like Uncle Sam? Okay, could it be that Samuel Jackson has the name of the originator of Uncle Sam? There was a businessman, I believe back in the late 1700s. I can't remember, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a businessman, he was a meat packer, and his name was Samuel Wilson. All right, that is where the terminology Uncle Sam came from. That's where it originated from. There were some drawings, and then there was some other things that go along with Samuel Wilson becoming the man behind Uncle Sam. But could his name, Samuel, and Samuel Jackson name, could that be in a coincidence? No. They just have the first names of Samuel. But pay attention to what Samuel Jackson was saying to Kendrick. He was like, you ready to play the game? He mentioned him playing the game. If y'all go to the performance, and you will see on one side when the dancers, when they kneel down, when they go down, you'll see that they have a shape of an X. And then on the other side, the performers, when they go down, they'll have a shape of a 0. Go to your Xbox games, and you know on the controller, you know they got that X, and then they got that 0. So they were dropping a lot of symbols and a lot of jewels. The performers, the dancers were dressed in red, white, and blue. Now, we know that Kendrick is from Compton. And in Compton, you got the C's, which is the Crips. They represent the blues. The blue, you got the Bloods and the Pyrus. They represent the red. So now you got, and it's just him paying homage to his city, his neighborhood. Well, Shank, where does the white come in at? The white symbolizes the blue, the red, as the United States of America flag. So what he was saying is, he was saying, look, and he mentioned you got the what, but the wrong guy. See, Donald Trump was in attendance. Some people refer that to Kendrick taking shots at Donald Trump. In my opinion, I don't believe that he was taking shots at Donald Trump because, as I stated, are folks mad at Trump because he's a hood president? That was Kendrick letting y'all know, I'm the wrong guy that y'all want to have on this stage. A strong message that Kendrick, as well as Samuel Jackson, put in that whole performance. They were letting the whole world know. They were letting the whole world know that the revolution is still alive. I stated before, many of you all have just been woken. They call it the woke generation. Appreciate that super sticker, Ms. Parker. Appreciate that super sticker. They call the woke community. People been woke. Before it was called the woke era, it was conscious rappers. We had conscious rappers. So I don't want anybody to think what you are seeing now is new. It's nothing new under the sun. I don't want any of y'all to think that all this knowledge and information is just being discovered. No, this has been available. The revolutionary will not be televised. Now that was back in the 60s. The revolutionary will not be televised because before the woke area, before social media, things were considered to be underground, not mainstream. So to bring it home, what I'm saying is Kendrick Lamar's performance at that Super Bowl for the halftime was right on time. We're going to get deeper into the symbols and we're going to get deeper into the performance. But I want to go to Trump. I want to go to Trump. Some of y'all might say, Shank, what makes him hood? Why do he got to be hood? One thing we learned about growing up in the hood, if you get around anybody that's in the hood, people from the hood shoot from the hip. People from the hood keeps it real. If you run across somebody that grew up in the hood, 9 times out of 10, that person is going to keep it real. And you don't have to be melanated to be from the hood. See, many people believe that only melanated people are hood. No, there's a lot of Caucasians that is hood. There are a lot of Caucasians that are knocked the block off of your shoulder. Don't get it twisted. There are a lot of Latinos, Hispanics, Asians that are hood. You know what I mean? But Donald Trump, he keeps it real. Is that the reason why folks are mad at Donald Trump? Somebody answer that. Is that the reason why folks are mad at Donald Trump? Because he keep it real? Drop a 1. Drop a 1. If you think that that's why folks are mad at Trump because he keeps it real. Drop a 1. Drop a 2 if you disagree. Salute Denethia. Denethia disagrees. Salute Kai. Kai agrees. Drop a 1. Drop a 2.
That's my take. It's been a head-spinning week for American foreign policy, with tariffs against Canada and Mexico dramatically announced and then suddenly postponed. USAID was gutted, and President Trump said he wants the U.S. to take over Gaza.
Before we get to that, remember when Trump said that he was going to change the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America? He done that. The good brother says locally as Uncle Sam, soldiers began referring to the grub as Uncle Sam's. The local newspaper, the Troy Post, picked up on the story, and Uncle Sam eventually gained widespread acceptance. And that's true, brother. Appreciate that. That's true.
The most revealing lens through which to look at all this might not be Donald Trump's pronouncements, but rather those of his aides and supporters. The tariff tantrum suggested that foreign leaders are becoming skilled at handling Trump. They mollify him with token concessions, allow him to declare victory, and then return to business as usual. The concessions that Mexico and Canada made were either small bore or policies that they were already pursuing. Mexico agreed to send thousands of troops to the border at the Biden administration's request, and are now doing the same for Trump. In the case of Canada, Trump's own statement notes that Canada was agreeing to implement its border plan, much of which had been announced over a month ago. Some conservative commentators pointed out the obvious. In the words of a Wall Street Journal editorial, Trump blinks. The Fox anchor Laura Ingraham implied that the president caved to huge negative reaction from markets, saying, "I'm not too impressed about the concessions from Canada." Canadian media reactions were similar. Canada's CTV News published an article with the headline, "Canada takes a stand and Donald Trump blinks." The country's satirical show, 22 Minutes, has a Donald Trump look-alike declaring victory.
I did the impossible. I made peace with Canada. I ended the unjust trade war that I started. I'm signing this.
That's a good one, y'all. That's a good one.
This executive order, I did not lose, but I totally won the trade war order.
Of course, from J.D. Vance to Mike Johnson, Republicans fell over themselves to praise the stunning negotiating powers of President Trump. The Trump effect is in full force, Johnson posted. At this rate of achievement, wrote Elon Musk, not only should President Donald Trump be on Mount Rushmore, I want to personally work the chisel. With the abrupt dismantling of USAID, Trump supporters scrambled to adjust. Secretary of State Marco Rubio quickly blasted the agency, saying it was out of control and unresponsive. This was the same agency that he had repeatedly posted in favor of over the years, written about in his book with pride and admiration, and recently recommended funding increases to President Biden. The pattern is now familiar and was followed after Trump's Gaza announcement. Those who had long supported Trump's determination to end America's military interventions cheered when he announced he would take over Gaza, send in troops if necessary, displace 2 million Palestinians to neighboring countries, and stay in Gaza for long-term ownership.
And let me just say this. I'm not asking if Donald Trump is hood. I'm not saying that Donald Trump is hood. I'm asking, are folks mad at Donald Trump because he's a hood president? And I listed 3 things on him being hood. He has 34 felonies. He has 5 children by 3 different women. He has 3 baby mothers.
Haley McEnany responded with this on Fox News.
President Trump is playing 4-dimensional chess. You all are playing checkers.
Later that day,
Stop right there. Let me backtrack it. Trump is playing 4-dimensional chess. You all are playing checkers. Are y'all paying attention?
News.
President Trump is playing 4-dimensional chess. You all are playing checkers.
Later that day, Trump officials began walking back key aspects of the president's plan, as did Trump himself.
Top Flight says, I left for a minute, but I also wanted to say it also went over people's head that Samuel Jackson played Uncle Sam during Kendrick's performance. F. Madam says, definitely playing chess. We are paying attention. Pig Daddy says, that's not new in politics. He's just the only one who they have drawn so deeply from his personal life.
Don't understand all this? You haven't played 4-dimensional chess. Donald Trump's White House is now a court, and his courtiers scurry around, aware that the mercurial monarch might change his mind at any time. TikTok is terrible can suddenly become TikTok is great.
Salute, Tina. Salute, Tina. I remember when they were going to ban TikTok, and they did shut it down. What was it? For a day? And Donald Trump made it possible for the ban to be lifted for 30 days. I mean, Once again, the man is about his work. Tina says, I missed the whole game last night. F. Madden says he was the one who tried to ban it initially. Johnny Boy says, yeah, please, y'all, double tap the screen. We got 300 watching with only 9 likes. Double tap the screen and get my likes up. Appreciate that, Johnny Boy. Denithia says, Trump about to get played by Elon Musk in his own game.
And they need to pivot quickly. It reminds one of the court of Henry VIII, the monarch who went from being the greatest defender of the Catholic Church to a vicious opponent because he wanted a divorce that the Pope would not sanction. One man who refused to play the game, Sir Thomas More, had his head chopped off. The reason Trump forces aides and supporters to say things that they know are false is to enforce a regime in which loyalty is paramount, overriding facts, overriding your long-held convictions.
How many of y'all believe that? How many of y'all believe that? F. Madam says, in his first term, he tried to ban TikTok. The minute he figured he could get money from it, he decided to try to save it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I done a demonstration yesterday where he mentioned his first term, he didn't know nobody. He didn't have any supporters. In other words, he didn't know the game. So in his first term, he was new to it. He come in as a businessman. So he don't really know how things work in Washington. But with him being in office for 4 years, he had a chance to see. He had a chance to understand the game. Tina says, I was thinking the same thing. Elon just wants a piece of the U.S. stakes, and Trump is handing it right to him. Now with Trump, like I said, with Trump, he comes in, he's new to this. So, he got to feel his way around. He got to see what's going on. And we all know the best way to become good at what it is that you do is trial through error. You're going to have to make these mistakes. So he's back and he's getting down to business right away. See, remember his first term, he struggled. But 3 weeks in the office, already he's signing off on these executive orders. Now I want y'all to answer this question. Where did these executive orders come from? Who knows? Who knows where the executive orders that Trump signed off on, who knows where those orders came from? Too many conflicts of interest. Pig Daddy says, as you cast pearls before the swine, my friend, I'll be praying that your message hits home in the minds and hearts of the people. Johnny Boy says he's the first president to actually do what he says he'll do. And he does it out in the open for all to see. I love it, even if I don't like all he does. And that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at, Johnny Boy. Salute Lady V. Lady V says Heritage Foundation. That's where I'm at with it. Like, at least he's honest enough. He tells you what he's going to do. He does it. He do it in the open. You don't have to second guess what Donald Trump is doing in that White House. You see it. F. Madam says, just because he's transparent don't mean he's doing work for us. I get it, y'all. I get it. No matter what Trump does, you're going to find something to shoot it down. I get it. For all y'all that don't know, my stand on Donald Trump, 70% of what he does and says, I agree with. 70% of what he says and does, I agree with. 30% of what he says and does, I disagree. But what I agree with is what I agree with. I don't try to take from that man. Same way with Obama. It's things that I disagree with Obama. It's things that I agree with Obama. But to sit up here and everything that Trump says and does that's good, to sit up there and shoot it down, that's not what I do. That's not what I do. F. Matter says, it's like we giving him flowers for effing us in the open. Hilarious. Hey, look, ain't nothing I can say. If y'all don't agree, let me just say this. Salute Smoke and Fire. Salute Smoke and Fire. If y'all don't agree with at least one thing that he says, and this is the one thing that I'm going to ask everybody. I'm going to ask everybody, and this will tell me exactly where you stand. Drop a 1. Drop a 1 if you agree with Donald Trump about transgender men should not be playing in all female sports. Drop a 1 if you agree with him on that. Drop a 2 if you disagree. That'll let me know where you stand. That's going to let me know where you stand. And if we got somebody that dropped a 2. Quan says 2, because I believe there should be a totally different league for people who are transgender. Right. That's what we saying, Quan. That's what we saying. We saying that. If transgenders want to play sports, fine. We not going against them as transgenders. If they want to get into sports, form your own league. That's all we saying. That's it. Come on. So we can't ignore the things that he do. That's right. We can't ignore it. Let's keep it real, y'all. Let's keep it real.
And to take control of Gaza and move Palestinians out of the territory, saying he's committed to buying and owning Gaza. The comments have already provoked reaction from Hamas, which governs Gaza. The group says Palestinians will foil any attempt to displace them. Let's listen to those comments by the president aboard Air Force One.
It's a big mistake to allow people, the Palestinians or the people living in Gaza, to go back yet another time. And we don't want Hamas going back. And think of it as a big real estate site. And the United States is going to own it and will slowly, very slowly, we're in no rush, develop it. We're going to bring stability to the Middle East and a totally war-torn part of the Middle East. A part of the Middle East that has caused tremendous problem, the Gaza Strip. And we'll own it. It's totally demolished right now. It's a demolition site. It'll be reclaimed. It'll be leveled out, fixed up. There won't be anybody there. Hamas won't be there. We'll be building through other of the very rich countries in the Middle East. They'll be building some beautiful sites for the people, for the Palestinians to live in. They'll be living in harmony and peace probably for the first time in hundreds of years.
Now, do I agree with rebuilding the Gaza Strip? Do I agree with it? No. I disagree with it. Maybe somebody can help me understand. Tina says, I agree with about 40% and 60% I don't. But I did change my opinion slightly about Trump over a few months, thanks to Shank. Appreciate you, Tina. Appreciate you. Because at one time, I was like 95% against Trump. I used to get Trump hell until I started doing my homework. You know, I started doing my homework and I started to see it for what it was. Now, I don't agree with going over there rebuilding the Gaza Strip, but maybe somebody can help me understand why we should be over in the Middle East rebuilding the Gaza Strip. Double tap the screen, y'all. We got 450 watching with only 18 likes. Double tap the screen and get my likes up.
Well, the president's comments come as thousands of Palestinians have been returning to their homes in northern Gaza after the withdrawal of Israeli troops from a key militarised zone that had cut the territory in half. For more than 24 hours now, these live pictures have shown a constant flow of families inching along the road in cars and trucks laden with their possessions. But what many returnees will find is rubble. Around 700,000 people fled their neighbourhoods before Israel's ground invasion following the attack on the 7th of October in 2023 by Hamas. The northern part of the Gaza Strip had been cut off from the south by the Netzarim corridor. The Israeli withdrawal from that strategically important road is part of the current ceasefire agreement.
I don't agree with removing DEI. I disagree with removing DEI. I disagree with removing Black history from the classroom. That's a part of the 30% that I disagree with. Ron says, I think Israel should rebuild it. And I'm with you, Ron. I don't think that we have a place. I don't think we have a fight in this. Let them rebuild Gaza.
Between Israel and Hamas. Well, the BBC, along with other international broadcasters, isn't allowed by Israel to report from inside Gaza. Our Middle East correspondent Yolande Nell is in Jerusalem and spoke to us about President Trump's most recent comments.
This has already caused an awful lot of shock internationally. Really the only international leader that has bought into President Trump's comments are the Israeli ones. We've had the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calling his idea revolutionary and creative, and there are others even across the political spectrum in Israel who, if they've not endorsed this idea, they have expressed some openness to it among Jewish Israeli politicians. But this has been again totally rejected by Palestinians who say that it's tantamount to ethnic cleansing. We have Saudi Arabia coming out once again, a powerful Arab ally of the US, totally rejecting this idea and reiterating its commitment to the long-time international formula for peace, the so-called two-state solution. But a lot of concern about what this could mean for ceasefire talks, because it does seem to have changed the context for those somewhat.
What's the state of those now?
Denithia says, I want him to reach across the aisle in unity and peace, not destruction. I do not believe that we should never have to vote again, as it would take away our rights. I agree with you. I agree with you. And I thought Benjamin was wanted for war crimes. I thought Benjamin was wanted for war crimes. Somebody help me understand that. So how's he going to meet with Benjamin? And he's wanted for war crimes. Maybe I misheard, or maybe I misread what I thought I heard and read.
There is an Israeli negotiating team that has gone along to Doha, Qatar, of course, being this important regional mediator. But while these talks are supposed to move on to discussing the next stage of the ceasefire, which would see a more permanent end to the fighting, the return of remaining Israeli hostages, according to Israeli media, the negotiating team in Doha is not mandated to discuss that at this point. They're waiting in particular for an Israeli cabinet meeting now that the Israeli Prime Minister is back from his trip to Washington. That's expected to take place tomorrow. But, there is a lot of concern among Israelis and Palestinians that things might not progress to this sensitive second stage. Hostage families in particular have been coming out in the past couple of days saying that the scenes that were witnessed on Saturday when these 3 Israeli hostages were returned looking emaciated. They have talked about other hostages that they were held with that remain in desperate conditions in Hamas tunnels, and they're saying that they desperately want to bring all of the hostages home. They're worried that that could be jeopardized. Palestinians, many people, are also, of course, very worried about the possibility of a return to fighting.
I'll say it again. I disagree. I disagree with us rebuilding the Gaza Strip.
Why are we called no?
I don't think that's our concern. I don't think that that's our concern to be over there. So I disagree with that. I disagree with the DEI. Salute Londa. Taking away Black history. I think that if anything, when it comes to Black History Month, if anything, I think that we should change it from February to a month that has 31 days. Now, that's my opinion. They give us Black History Month, but they give us the shortest month to celebrate it. That's disrespect. Now, I believe that whatever month it is, it should have been a month with 31 days. And then also, I think that when it comes to those that we celebrate, I think that it should be whom we choose to celebrate. Because when I was in school, I was in the 5th grade, and this was in 1977. I was in the 5th grade. And my teacher, Miss Davis, matter of fact, I was in the 5th, so that was 1980 when I was in the 5th grade. That was 1982. 1982 when I was in the 5th grade. Y'all know that in the curriculum in our curriculum in public schools, is certain things that they wouldn't allow to be taught. Certain things when it comes to the curriculum that they don't allow to be taught. A lot of those freedom fighters from back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, they wouldn't allow us to learn about. And I think when it comes to anything that's dealing with melanated people, I think that melanated people should own everything, like our music. Y'all realize to this day, we don't even own the companies that produce the music, the companies that produce the TV shows. We don't have no ownership of nothing. For so long, and even today, for so long, melanated people has to be taught what they want us to be taught. Listen to Drake's song, They Not Like Us. See, it got a deeper message in it. Appreciate those super stickers, Miss Parker. Appreciate those super stickers. I know y'all like the bob and bounce to the beat. I like the bob. I like the boom, boom, boom to the beat too. You know what I mean? I like the they not like us. They not like us. But are we understanding? Are we getting the real meaning? It's more than a diss song. It's more than a diss track. It says a lot. They not like us. So that performance, I'm just sitting back and I'm on social media and I'm hearing people bashing his performance. Man, this is a boring performance. This is a boring performance. They could have did better than this. And then I'm hearing those that are not us that complain and have a problem and speak about why is they making this? Why is they taking away from the sport? You got to remember, who is the majority of the football players? The majority of NFL football players are melanated people. So what are y'all talking about when you say that melanated people spreading awareness about their rights and the justice that they're fighting for? How can you say that it's not the proper place? The majority of those players are melanated people. So that was the perfect place. Remember when Colin Kaepernick took a knee? He got banned out of the NFL. All he did was took a knee when the national anthem or the Pledge of Allegiance, can't remember. See, in order for you to understand where we're coming from, you have to have been where we came from. And this is something that the rest of the world will never understand as long as when it's time for melanated people to tell our side, as long as y'all shut us out, as long as y'all have a problem with us telling our side, then y'all will never understand. But if y'all would just say, you know what? the melanated people, they have every right. They have every right to want to tell their side. They have every right to fight for what they believe is justice. See, you can't tell me how and when and why I should fight for what's belong and what's owed to me. You can't tell me that, because I can't tell you. I can't tell you. Imagine if an Asian was performing the Super Bowl halftime performance. Imagine if it was an Asian rapper. And if the Asian rapper was talking about what goes on in their world, nobody would shut that Asian rapper down. Everybody would feel for that Asian rapper. Everybody would have sympathy for that Asian rapper. Huh? Only melanated people. Only when we want to tell our story. That's all we want. First is to tell our story. And then, if it's anything that's owed to us, all we want to do is collect it. And if it means you, him, her, the government, whoever has to pay us, then so shall be. But listen, and I'm not going to keep doing these demonstrations because I'm getting ready to switch lanes. Listen to melanated people when we're telling our side of the story. And when I say listen, just listen. You ain't gonna have to say anything. Just listen. Because most of us, that's all we want is to be heard. But as y'all see, that Kendrick's performance made it. It made it all the way to the Super Bowl halftime performance. That says a lot about this country, where it came from and where it's going. Once again, shout out to all those that are not racist. And there are a lot of Caucasians that aren't racist. There are a lot of Asians that aren't racist. There are a lot of Hispanics, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, you name it. There are a lot of melanated people that aren't racist. So shout out to everyone. Shout out to everybody that's not racist. Because I do believe that this country that we know as America, I do believe that we are moving. I do believe that we are moving in a better direction. I believe that the future is definitely going to prove one thing to us, that we all can work together, regardless of religion, regardless of nationality, regardless of political views, regardless of all of the above that divides us. I do believe in the future. I do believe that we all are going to work together. We got a lot of work to do. I got a lot of work to do. You got a lot of work to do. But that's all right. That's all right. Look, I appreciate everybody for pulling up. I got to get ready for a live at 7 o'clock. If you're in the DMV area, if you're in the Baltimore, Maryland area, there's a missing 68-year-old woman by the name of Nancy Burden. And her daughter will be joining me at 7 p.m. to talk about her mom being missing. Appreciate that super sticker, Tommy from Still Swinging Podcast. Make sure y'all subscribe to the Still Swinging Podcast. Make sure y'all subscribe to Miss Parker's as well. Miss Parker has a demonstration coming up at 8, and I do believe Still Swinging Podcast has a demonstration coming up as well. So make sure y'all subscribe to those 2 podcasts. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. Salute, and I'll see y'all on the next demonstration at 7 p.m. Make sure y'all pull back up at 7 p.m.